Hey guys, it's Kip here from KDC Marketing. And in today's video, I want to talk about migrating from classic Wix to Wix Studio and give you a Wix Studio migration checklist because this is something that comes up all the time. People start out on classic Wix and they want to migrate to Wix Studio. But in doing so, there are a lot of things that you want to consider to make sure that you have the best migration possible. So here's the checklist we're going to talk about today. I'm going to show you these different examples. And these are things that you want to make sure that you remember whenever you're migrating from Classic Wix to Wix Studio. And if you don't know the difference between these platforms, I've covered that in a few other videos on my channel. But I'll talk about that a little bit in today's video as well as we talk about migrating from Classic Wix to Wix Studio. So the first thing you want to make sure that you have ready to go at some point is the domain name in the premium plan. So I'm going to go into my KDC Marketing website here and show you how you would actually migrate this once you have the Wix Studio website built. So you have these two different plans here. You have the managed plan, which is the premium plan, then you have managed domain. So I'm going to go ahead and click this here. And then over here on the right hand side, there's this button with three dots. And you can actually assign this to a different site. So I can take this premium plan and assign it to another site that I have, and I can do the same thing with the domain name. So if I go in here and go to manage domain, I can go in and click on these three dots and I can assign to a different site. So this is something you'd want to do at the end once your Wix Studio website is ready to go. Then you could assign the premium plan and domain name from the classic Wix site to your Wix Studio website. And this is assuming that those things aren't changing, that you really want a similar premium plan and you want the same domain name across the board. One important thing to remember is that you have to have the correct permissions to assign these two different websites. So if you are the website owner on both of the Classic Editor and Wix Studio websites, then you can go in and assign the plan and domain name to the new site. If you're not the owner, then you're going to have to work with the person who is the owner in order to transfer that information over. So if you're building this website for a client, then you might have to work with them if there are different ownership roles and permissions. So that's something important that you can do as long as these aren't changing too much. Then you can just assign them to the new site once Wix Studio is ready. The other thing that you want to consider is contacts. So a lot of times you have contacts in your existing Wix editor website and you want to import those into Wix Studio. So the way that you would do that is you would come over here to contacts and then you would go to import right here, or you would go to import exports. You would actually export these out of your existing website and then you would import them into the new website. And that import is just a CSV file and it should kind of import one-to-one. As long as you're importing it out of Wix and importing it into Wix, then you should be good to go. So that's another one you want to consider. And then the next one is blog posts. So if you're using Wix to manage your blog posts, there is a way to just import these ones over in a really quick, just a couple of clicks. And so you just go to more actions, then you go to import posts, and then you would go import posts from another Wix blog. So you would select this, click next, select the Classic Editor website, and this will import directly into your new Wix Studio website. And I had to do this recently for KDC Marketing, and it worked great. It only took a couple of seconds to import all of my existing blog posts, and now I have them inside of my site here from previously when I had my website on the Classic Editor. The other thing it imported is it imported my categories. So I had categories that I had assigned to these posts and it imported those as well. And you can see my import is done. It had 14 posts and they were imported and published, and it gives you some information there. So that's another one you want to consider if you're using the Wix blog app. The next one is CMS. So CMS is Wix's content management system. And if you're using CMS, or if your client is using CMS, and if you have some collections, you're going to want to migrate these over as well. So if I go into this collection, for example, it's really similar to how I would do the contacts. I would just go to more actions and I would export this to CSV. And then I would go to my Wix Studio website, and then I would import these items into my collection. And you'll have to do this for each of your collections in here that you have. And assuming that they're not really changing too much based on the structure and everything of your data set, this should be pretty simple to go in and import all of these items into your new collections. So that's another important step you want to consider as you're migrating from one editor to the next editor. Okay, the next one is page content. And this one is a big one. And this gets into more of the differences between classic Wix and Wix Studio. There isn't a way possible right now that I know of to just import page content from classic Wix to Wix Studio. And the reason for that is because they are very different platforms. The way that these design canvases and editors function is completely different. So inside of here in Wix Studio, this is what it looks like to design the website. And so this is where I actually build out the page content for all of my pages. So this is my home page. And inside of here, I have sections and I have elements like text elements or image elements. And this is where I build the website. And I have pages over here, like I have my about page. So there's no way to really import this content across from classic Wix to Wix Studio. But if it's similar content, you can do a lot of copy and paste. Or if it's different content, which I usually find is what happens is when you upgrade or transition from Wix to Wix Studio, you're usually trying to make some kind of design changes. And so if that's the case, you do have to go in and rebuild this here inside of Wix Studio. And if you have never seen this editor before, and if you didn't know that there are two different editors, they are very, very different, and the way that they function is different as well. So this is kind of what it looks like. You have elements, you have your layers panel, you have pages, you have all this stuff on the left-hand side. But then you also have this over here on the right-hand side, and you have more features. You have things where you can control your layout, your design, your position, and all kinds of things depending on which element you're editing. You also have more control over breakpoints and responsive design inside of Wix Studio. So you can look at tablet and mobile and desktop, and you can even create your own breakpoints in here. So this is a big one. There's no real way to import all the content in, which maybe someday there will be, but it's because they're so different from each other, the two editors, that it doesn't really make sense to import it. It would be really difficult to do that. So the other thing is media content. So this is something where you can import the media content from your classic Wix website into your Wix Studio website. So this is where you find it inside of here. It's this little button inside of Wix Studio, and you go to upload media, and then it gives you all these different upload options. But if you click my Wix account, you can find other media files from other Wix websites. So this one's my KDC Marketing one. I'm going to click into this one, and I can select these files, and I can upload these into my new Wix Studio website. So this is one where you can transfer over the files, the media manager files, from one site to the other. And it's kind of nice. The only thing that you would need is you would need access to both of these websites in order to do this. So you can import the media, and there is a place from the dashboard to do it as well. I just type in here media manager, and it usually comes up. And then I'm able to do it here from the dashboard. You get the same exact experience. You just go in here to Wix, and then you would go to the folder you want, and you would be good to go. So let's go back to our list here. We talked about page content and media content. Another one you want to consider as you're doing this migration is reconnecting payment methods. So if you have a payment method, if you are accepting payments on your website, and usually that means that you're doing something like Wix bookings or e-commerce, there's some way for a customer to pay you through the website, then you want to make sure that this is reconnected. So to do that, you would just go to your dashboard and go to settings, and then go to accept payments. And so it's right there at the top, and then you can connect your payment processor here. And you can see I have a couple of accounts connected. I have my Square account. So it'll take Square or Stripe or a lot of the main payment processors. And you want to make sure that this is connected, because sometimes that connection doesn't always transfer from site to site. You want to make sure you do this step so that you can accept payments. Okay, and then the last one, and this one is probably the most important of all of these steps that we have talked about today, and that is understanding of Wix Studio. If you are going to migrate from the classic Wix editor to Wix Studio, you have to understand how Wix Studio works. If you don't understand Wix Studio, it doesn't really make sense to migrate from one platform to the other, because you're going to run into a lot of roadblocks and frustrations, because Wix Studio can be very difficult and frustrating for people who are used to classic Wix and have never used a tool that's similar to Wix Studio. And what I'm talking about when I'm talking about understanding Wix Studio, I'm talking about the editor. This is the main place that you have to understand how it works, because it is more complex. You have more flexibility and more features, but the complexity comes along with that. And so you have things like stacks that are unique to Wix Studio. You have padding, and you have docking, and you have margins, and you have all this stuff that you can do. You have all kinds of elements that you can add, and things that are different about Wix Studio, and just how it functions, and the responsive behaviors, these responsive behaviors up here. You have to understand how all of this works, because if you don't, then it is going to be very frustrating. And I have seen that happen to me. I've experienced that myself when I first started out on Wix Studio. I've seen that happen to people that I've worked with. It can take some time to learn and master Wix Studio, but it can be so much better, and your website can be that much better if you do understand Wix Studio and how to use it. So going along with this step, understanding Wix Studio, I do have an online course that I put together where I show you how to master Wix Studio step by step. And that's what this page is for. This is my course landing page. And the reason that people want to transition to Wix Studio is because they want to build better websites faster and make more money. And you truly can build better websites on Wix Studio. And if you master it, you can build them faster. And the make more money part comes in because you can charge higher rates. You can get better clients with bigger budgets, because they're going to want something that's more custom and that functions better, functions faster, and gives you the ultimate flexibility on how it looks. So that's where all those pieces come together. And that's why people want to transition in the first place. They want a more powerful editor that can give them a better experience and give their customers a better experience as well. So this course is the course that I created to help people start from scratch, if you've never ever tried Wix Studio, to then master Wix Studio. And so it goes step by step from the very beginning to creating your Wix Studio account, all the way down to publishing your website down here, and all the things that you need to do in between all of those steps. And so if you want to transition from Wix to Wix Studio, then this course is the perfect one for you. It has over 5 hours of video content showing you step by step, where I simplify everything and show you all the different things that you need to know to build professional websites. So this review in particular talks to the direct point that we're talking about today, where it says straight into the point, made the transition to Wix Studio fast and seamless. That's what I want for people, is to be able to master Wix Studio, so that if you want to do this transition, if you want to transition from Wix to Wix Studio, then you can do it as fast and as seamlessly as possible. And I've shared a few of these things before, but Wix Studio has opened up so many doors for me. It has opened up so many doors for me and for my company, KDC Marketing. I get to work with better clients now. I was able to reach the legend level in the Wix Partner Program, which is the highest level, which was really cool. And Wix Studio was a big part of that. I also became a certified web designer by Wix Studio themselves, and that was all made possible because of Wix Studio. And there's just a level of confidence that comes from understanding how Wix Studio works and knowing that you can build whatever you want to build, or whatever your clients need you to build, because you can start from a blank canvas and you can get to that end result, and you can get there even faster if you have mastered Wix Studio. So this is by far the most important step. If you don't understand Wix Studio, there's really no point to transition from Wix to Wix Studio because it's going to be a nightmare, it's going to be a headache, and it's going to be frustrating. But if you understand Wix Studio, how to use it and how to make it work, then it makes a lot of sense to transition from Wix to Wix Studio, which is exactly why I started out here on the classic editor and I moved to Wix Studio. And I love the way that my new website looks and functions and works. And this is it right here. And this is built on Wix Studio. So you can build better websites like this. You can build whatever you want with Wix Studio as long as you take those first steps to master the platform and understand how it works. And these things here that I've talked about aren't an exhaustive list. There might be other things that I didn't cover that would be good to consider when you're migrating from one to the other. But this is mostly what I look at when I help a client or even for myself transition from Wix to Wix Studio. I'm looking for these things. I'm thinking about the domain name and premium plan and contacts and blog posts and CMS and page content and media content and payment methods. And all of those things go into having a successful migration from Classic Editor to Wix Studio. And it does take a little bit of work to make sure that you've gone through and checked all the boxes. And it does take a little bit of work to build the brand new website in Wix Studio. But the end result is so awesome. And I am so happy with my own website and with the websites that I built for my clients. It is just so much better night and day than my Classic Editor website. And I like the Classic Editor. It was great when I was starting out, and I still have some clients on the Classic Editor. But once you start understanding Wix Studio and can see all the things that it can do and all the features that it has, and once you start mastering those features, you want to build all of your websites here because it's just so much better in so many ways. And there's obviously quirks with Wix Studio. All website builders have that. I'm not saying it's the perfect platform, but it's a platform that I love, and it really does provide so many opportunities, open so many doors if you can understand and master Wix Studio and use it to your advantage. So next time you're thinking about doing a migration, or if you're thinking about it right now, or if you have a client who's on Wix who wants to get on Wix Studio, go through these things, think through these things, think through your migration plan, and make sure you do have a plan going into it so that this migration can be smooth. It can transition from one website to the other like nothing ever happened. That's what you want, is you want it to be so seamless and so smooth for the client that it's almost like it never happened. So I hope you found this video helpful, and I'll put some links to my course in the description below if you want to check this course out. And that's what I have for today's video, and I will see you in the next video.